If you're watching the replay, this is Real Life Money Monday panel. This is a live Q&A, and we have a stranger come back onto the panel.
Yes.
Yeah, so listen, we've had loads of people asking loads of kind of different questions. So we thought we would just come on here and hit the questions up. But before anybody does anything, I think what we need to do is we need to get some shares and we need to get some comments on the go. So please do share it. Trisha, let's get it out there and let's start tagging some people, because here's a funny thing, right? Sometimes people are a little bit shy to do certain things in life, but here's the thing. Here's the way I see it. It's all about opportunity. So tonight, here's the opportunity. The opportunity is that you can share what is going on here with your fellow Facebook friends, with your fellow social media friends, and then you give them at least the opportunity for them to decide whether they want to watch it or whether they want to get involved or not. Does that sound fair enough? Put it in the comments if that sounds fair enough.
Sounds fair enough to me.
Yeah, so put it in the comments if that sounds fair enough, because I think it's super important for at least give people the opportunity, because you never know what's going to come up. And we have some questions here, but I'm sure we will have time to get to the people who are watching it on the stream and they ask questions. So whichever social media channel you're on, whether it's Facebook, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram, whether it's LinkedIn, please do add your comments. We will be able to see them on here. What questions do you have right now that's going to help you get unstuck? Because this is about getting unstuck. So first of all, tag some people, some of your friends, Facebook friends, social media friends, so they can start to see what the real deal is here. And then they can choose for themselves, is this something I want to pay attention to? Or is it a load of Netflix junk? That is, so to tag Netflix, can you tag Netflix? Can you do that? Yeah, let's do it. Let's make it happen. Yeah, so put your comments in here. And by the way, everybody who's watching right now, just comment.
Oh, wow, yeah, I can. I've just tagged Netflix.
You done it?
I've just tagged Netflix.
Is there an actual tag?
Yeah, it's tagged like the business. It's got 75 million followers.
Let's see what else we can tag. Can we tag something else, like some property TV, Sky TV?
Real Life TV is the only TV you should be watching.
Football's Coming Home TV. Can we tag all of them stuff? Yeah, tag, baby.
Wednesday night is coming.
For some reason, I think I'm banned from tagging people. Maybe I did too many. Yeah, well, I can't tag anyone. That's it. So I shared it a couple of times, guys. And what we're going to do for this week, we're going to bring it back, baby. People have been after the merchandise, the real life merchandise. So for the person that shares this on their timeline right now, so you've got to share it on your timeline. Then what you got to do is you've got to tag at least 10 people. If you're in the tribe, 10 people in the tribe, 10 people out of the tribe, and we will pick a winner. So you can decide whatever it is that you want from the real life online merchandise store.
So there's loads to choose from. So get yourself there.
So you've got to be here at the end when we call your name. And if you're here at the end, then we do that little celebration with you. Excellent. Okay, good. So look, here's the thing. You know what's super awesome? I love answering these questions that we got in store. But this weekend, starting Friday, is a 4-day live event that's been waiting for since October 2019 called Property Wealth Turbo, PWT, best known as. And
PWT.
There is a bunch of people that have been waiting for a long time and still have not real idea of how much this is going to impact humanity, their business, their pipeline for deals, their ability to raise finance and do deals and progress and move forward. And the best thing is that everybody gets out of it what they need to get out of it at whatever stage they are at. So super awesome. So I'm hoping that you can get whatever you need to get out of this. So put your questions forward on here, because as soon as we've run through some of the questions that have been sent through, the most commonly asked questions that we've had within our community that we've had people just send in, then we will do that. Yeah, so here's the first question. The first question is, how did you get started in property investing, and how can you be sure that you can do it with no money? What's the answer to that question?
Yeah, so I got started because, one, I had a passion for property, and it was about finding out, how do I do it? Because very simply, how they're asking, like, how do you do it if you've got no money, is the same situation I was in. And it was about reaching out and learning from people that were already doing it successfully. So I wanted to learn from people that have already created the wheel. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel because it was already there. So I wanted to use something that was being done successfully already. So getting coaching and mentoring and training was the first place I started. That was number one. And then once I started with that and I'd invested in myself, I obviously wanted to give myself a return on investment, like what we do property for. So therefore it made me take action, because I wanted to pay off what I'd invested in myself to go and better myself through the coaching, the mentoring and the training. And then I grew very, very quickly. And it was very simply that as soon as I realized how simple it actually was to get the kind of income that I needed to be able to leave my job at the time, to free up my time and give me more time, freedom, financial freedom, whatever you want to call it, whatever it means to you, because it means something different to lots of people. Once I had that in my mind of how simple it was or what type of strategies I could do, everything was available, you know, and then it was creating simple, repeatable processes, which is why having like Mark as my business partner is essential, because Mark's really good at the systems of the business. And he was like, right, we need to create systems to just keep repeating the deals and just keep it coming, and then keep finding more, keep finding more, keep finding more money. So that was how I got started in property, as in growing it. And how I did it with no money was simply being present and telling everybody that would listen to me what I was doing. And it, you know what it was? I had no experience in property. I had, no money. I didn't have a rich family, cousins or parents of extreme wealth. So I had to go really cold, and I was being super authentic by just updating people via social media every day on what I was doing in my journey and how I was getting on. That obviously people started watching and people started paying attention to what I was doing, so that when I had deals and I was ready and I wanted to start making money and I wanted to start getting investors, people already knew who I was, and they had some kind of invested interest in me and wanting to be a part of that growth and energy. And they trusted who I was enough to think that, yeah, she's going to do it. And again, I had done all my due diligence on my deals and I had all the numbers stacked out. So make it so that it's completely easy for them to say, if they're in a position where they want to do this and they want to make money and it all stacks up, the only answer is yes, right? So don't go after the people that are just not looking at all, because what's the point? That's just wasting your time, and you're just going to make yourself feel negative because they are not the right people to be speaking to. And people came to us, they were coming to us on social media that we'd never met any of our investors. So all the investors still to now, right, to 4 years on, we're not related to, we weren't friends with, they're not friends of friends. They were simply brand spanking new people that reached out to us based on our presence online and following our journey and story. And for the first 7 deals that we had done in the first 6 months, we managed to raise over £650,000 of investor finance in under 10 days for those 7 deals. And that was genuinely because we had a whatever it takes attitude, because I'd worked so hard to get those 7 deals. I didn't want to lose one of them. And we still have those deals, or / have started selling some of those deals since then. So they've paid us twice. And we still continue to work with those investors and new investors, because when you repeatedly deliver a great result to your investors, paying them back, giving them a nice experience, they're going to want to continue to work with you as well. So that's from my experience. I know it seems like a long answer, but it was quite a big question, I feel.
Yeah, oh, sure, in comparison to some previous answers. So don't forget to keep tagging people and share this on your timeline. Tag at least 10 people, and then at the end we're going to pick someone who qualifies, who hit that criteria for them to win some free merchandise. Yeah, someone says, Zima is saying, I don't know how to tag people on YouTube, so I'm not sure how that works either. So that's not, you have to join a Q&A on YouTube. I don't know. But how did I get started in property? So when I first left school, I was actually a builder, went into the trade on the job and all the rest of it. So because I was in that side of it, I always seen that everybody who was like running the site or owned the houses that I worked on, they already had a lot of money, and they were like business people. They had multiple investments and some things like that. So then I thought, okay, now it's drilled into me that you need money to be able to make the money in property. And one of the kind of final nails in the coffin on that job was I was working on a building site. We were building about 8 houses. And the guy said to me, he was like, oh, hey, you seem pretty good. Why don't you, build yourself? Why don't you do it for yourself? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I would do, but you need money to be able to start in this game, don't you? And he's like, yeah, true. So that just confirmed it for me, because he was like the son of the owner of the site. So then anyway, went into business, and then my idea was I'd been through a few jobs and I started to make money, started to realize how we can build teams, create sales organizations. And I went into software, and then my second software company, I was a partner in a software company. I was like, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to help this company grow. I'm going to get the value to the company to about 100 million, which we had to do about 30 million in sales to do that. That would easily achieve the 100 million valuation. I'm going to sell out, and I'm going to use that money to invest. That was my plan. Yeah. Then I seen online an advert saying, hey, you can build property portfolio with none of your own money. And it was Robbie Fowler. I was like, yeah, Robbie Fowler, I'm a Liverpool fan. That's a face I can trust. Yeah. Nothing to do with Robbie Fowler whatsoever when I went there, but still 2 hours of giving me a few different scenarios of how you can invest with none of your own money. I was like, I'm game on for this. Went to another further 3-day training, and from there it became apparent that there was a way to do it. So from there, then it was like, right, let's knuckle down. And I remember one Christmas, probably 2016 Christmas, me and Trisha shipped the kids away, and I was like, that's it. I think we ran numbers on over 200 property deals to kind of figure out, how do we make this work? How are we going to get the numbers to stack up like what people were telling us in the training? And it weren't as straightforward as we first thought.
It wasn't.
Yeah, because it seemed very complicated, and there was some formulas and this type of research and all the rest of it. Anyway, long story short, we took the leap of faith into a deal where it looked like we could invest all the money, get all the money out, get a cash flow, and so happens that did happen. So we were able to do that on the first 7 deals, and then after that, and we got rolling. I think we built a portfolio of 4.5 million in the first 18 months. And then for about the first 6 million, still no money, 0 money of our own money that was used. And then up to about 8 million, we started using some other money. And then since then, we've been selling the properties, flipping them, doing new builds and selling them, and still having other studios and apartments and HMO types of portfolio. But that's how we got started. So that's cool. So the next question is, which is a cool question, right? With all of the turmoil of then Brexit and then pandemic and shutdown, lockdown, whatever you want to call it, what's going to happen to the property market? Because it seems like nothing has happened, but we all know that we seem to be in some kind of bubble. So I don't know if we all know that, but there are sayings that say history has a way of repeating itself, and everyone's a bit worried about 2008 when things were so-called inflated. I think this is a different type of inflation, if there is an inflation, but I just think there's a huge demand in being able to use assets like any type of property, any land, any kind of asset to be able to generate another income. And by the way, I'm going to do a separate video on this, but what was cool about this was people, when we advertise, because I haven't worked out another way yet to be able to transform more people's lives without advertising. But when we do that, sometimes people comment and they say, yeah, you built a portfolio. Yeah, but you don't own that. The bank owns it. And I thought about it. I thought, does the bank own it? Or, on land registry, it's kind of our companies that own it. So I'm not sure about if the bank does own it. But then that means anything that you buy, where you borrow money, does that mean the bank owns it? Maybe, maybe not. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Because then I thought about it. I thought, if you got 10 million quid's worth of property, producing over £500,000 profit in your pocket a year, who cares who owns the property? Who cares if it's the bank, the mayor, the monkey, the chihuahua, the tooth fairy? It doesn't matter to me. But that's very interesting. So my answer to that question, what's going to happen in this property market? Hey, listen, I don't know what's going to happen. And anybody says or suggests that they do know what's going to happen, that's kind of interesting. So I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe a slight deviation away from the question would be how we're going to prepare for moving into the future and future-proof it. So some of the protocols that we're taking are diversifying into multiple different strategies, which is what we teach and how we teach people on how to handle and deal with multiple different strategies and how much time and effort to put into each one to make sure that it stacks up and you're getting the return. But then what happens is so some of the strategies is building new houses to be able to sell. But then there's always a second exit of renting. Because think about it. People are like, oh my God, this is the worst time to invest in all of this good stuff. So like if you can build houses to sell, or if you can acquire properties that you're going to renovate and flip, if you can build in a so-called crash to either still make money when you sell, or let's face it, if there is a crash, it means the economy is not doing good because people can't buy houses anymore. And if people can't buy houses, they need to rent it. So if the second exit is gonna then still provide an income, or at least don't lose any money, why we have to hold it for the market to pick up, which it does. Who knows how long that may take. So if we can still make money on selling, or we can still make money or not lose money on renting it, then that is one way of future-proofing that strategy. But then being able to have assets that are going to pay me an income, whether I can refinance it at this high price, doesn't really matter. Because people are like, oh, but you're going to be in negative equity. Negative equity doesn't matter unless I am forced to sell, which is why having multiple strategies on the go at the same time is so important. Because if one property or one little project doesn't perform the way it was expected to, like we always have a best case and a worst case scenario. And if we can handle the worst case, bam, it's a deal, let's go for it. But if one deal starts going on the side of the worst case scenario, then the other projects and the other strategies, which depending on whether the market's going up, down, sideways, or out, or around, there'll always be a demand for a certain aspect. So if this one's not doing as well and this one is, then this one counteracts that. This one makes the profit over that, and probably even more so than if the market didn't switch. When I say switch, I mean like if it does start to go down, house prices start dropping, because this kind of maintaining and it's having a steady rise, which is a good thing. It makes it more competitive. It makes it less competitive for in a certain aspect. But then on another aspect, people are like, oh yeah, but people are just paying over the asking price. What was funny in 2017, we paid over the asking price. People were telling us prices were too high. People were telling us you can't get money out deals anymore. People were telling us you can't get commercial valuations anymore. They were telling us this 3-4 years ago. So now, I don't know why all of a sudden it's become more mainstream, whether it's the statistics are there where like people are like, no, look, here's the stats, the prices are increasing. I mean, they are. Yeah, but they were telling us that before. So the prices in 2017 had increased from 16, 15, 14, 13. So you remember if it was down in 2008, if it was down, then there's a steady climb. So what's this another drop? Good. We can buy some cheap properties. Or it means people can't buy properties, so people are going to have to rent properties. Good. So we're going to have plenty of products that people can rent from us. That's my answer.
I agree.
Is that it?
Yeah. Diversification. That's how you protect yourself. You can't put all your eggs in one basket, have multiple areas, run multiple strategies, and don't ever get complacent, because any business that is not constantly moving forward for new business and selling themselves is going to fall on hard times when times become hard. That's just the easy is what it is. take responsibility, if you rest on your laurels and you don't have lovely functioning assets that are different, you know, that work for different strategies, so that when times do change, you can flip your strategy, you will fall on hard times. So constantly diversifying and being in the know about what's going on live in your market is absolutely key. And having a great team, working with great teams that can advise you. And the other thing about staying in the game, because it's like today, I've done so many different things in property just today, that some I haven't done for a very long time, and some I've had to do not like new creative ways just to get to the result that I needed to get to. But it works, and you know, it's a head scratcher every day that you're in property. You never know everything, right? Every single day is a day at school when you're in a property industry. And that is one of the fun things about it, because it doesn't get boring. It doesn't get repetitive all the time. But by being in the know, you can keep staying ahead of the curve, having the right teammates around you, like your valuers and stuff, so that you know what areas are getting more appreciation right now and what areas maybe are in a bit more of decline. So therefore, where do I funnel my energy? People are worrying about valuations and all things getting capped and being downvalued and all of that sort of stuff. Well, I tell you what, today, just today, and there will be a video about it soon, so I'm only going to say this brief thing about it, but just today, we had a pre-valuation done on this property, and the new valuation that's come in on it, same thing. So that was done on the pre-valuation, the exact same finish has been done that we said would be done for the pre-valuation, but obviously now it is fully let, showing the actual figures as opposed to what we thought the figures might be. But everything is pretty much the same as what we got it pre-valued at, and we managed to get an extra 114,000 on top of the pre-valuation for the refinance. That is insane. And the only reason that happened is because of fantastic property, fantastic level of service, fantastic information given to the valuer, constant communication, fantastic rents, and staying ahead, knowing what's going on in the industry and keeping your finger on the pulse. So what I'm saying is diversification, great team, and just knowing what's going on. Don't rest on your laurels. Keep pushing yourself forward to create new deals, create new business models, and definitely have new routes to go if things change and things aren't working, because you're always going to have to analyze what's working and what's not working in your business, because it's like any business. Property's the same. One year this property was an absolute smasher and you used to go crazy for rent, and the next year you're struggling to fill it. Something's changed. Analyze it, change, approach.
You know what's funny is everything that you're saying, what we were being told this 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So like the thing that's stopping people today, it may be stopping more people today, because I think the story of it is more realistic, because, you know, there has been Brexit, there has been downturn, there has been increase, you know, there's like increase in build costs of what's it called, the materials, all of that stuff. So it's more believable now. It might be backed up by a bit more logic, but it's still the same story. And it's like when I was, you know, in one of my previous companies, we were doing this study, and it was a study around negotiation. And there was a segment of the study that we did that said, like, today is the most competitive that the market has ever been. It's the most noise. It's where you've got to be able to go through, like, there's so many competitors in one particular area, and like the negotiations, you've got to be competitive with your pricing, and you've got to make sure that your team is trained well to be able to add value and give a service, not just a product, give a service. Yeah. So for who does this sound familiar? Does this sound familiar, like, you know, of recent times where, like, yeah, wow, yeah, that sounds like me and my business now? Does that, just put it in the comments. Does that sound like, yeah, this makes sense? Like, yeah, it's the noisiest it's ever been. There's so much on social media. There's so much, you know, people I get bombarded with adverts. Does this sound like, you know, does this sound like it rings true for you? put it in the comments so we know. Because let me let you into a little secret. You know that study, one of the books that we were using to study, which said just that, what I just said now, it's the busiest and it's the noisiest time and all the rest of it, was written in 1951. It was written in 1951. Like if somebody hadn't told me that and they said it was today, I'd have been like, yeah, absolutely. Makes sense to me. Yeah, busiest time. Yeah, lots of competitors. You know, people not accepting cold calls. You know, nobody opens marketing emails and all of that stuff. And like even today, people are like, oh, no, email marketing is no good. Can't reach out to. I mean, reaching out to clients through email, being able to nurture them by giving them what it is they want, giving investors what they want, giving people of a community what they want. Like it's the same as it has been for a long time, and I'm sure in 10 years they'll probably be saying the same thing as well. You know, I'm sure I wasn't paying a lot of attention when I was a kid, but I'm sure it was like, oh, there's no work out there. You got to be careful. You know, prices are high. Like when my dad was in his prime in the building, when houses were selling for like £16,000. Yeah, so houses are selling £16,000. You know, and even then it's like, oh, it's at a high. You know, and he was buying his house by the way for £16,000, and it later sold. Because he didn't buy it, he actually sold it back to the housing association, and it was sold later on down the line for 150,000. He was good dude. But
you missed out on that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but you sell it because you thought it was at high, and that's it. You know, the thing is, you can go check this out on the YouTube channels and the Facebook page and the other social medias. But the property market is going to go up and it's going to go down. Nobody knows how much it's going to go up or how long it's going to go up for. Nobody knows how much it's going to go down or how long it's going to go down for.
But nobody has a crystal ball.
Yeah, but what's going to happen? It's going to go up and it's going to go down, and that's it. So the technical principle of it is very clear that it's kind of, you know, the same old thing, and the information is all over the place. And by the way, you guys can still post on here. What are your questions about anything that we've said so far, or what are your questions in the property industry and property investing? What is it that you require to be able to help you to get unstuck right now? Yeah, that's you can put that in the comments so we can get to that. But ultimately, it comes down to practical application, and that's exactly what we do in our community. That's what I'm doing day by day myself with the people that I help. I know Tricia is doing the same thing. The real life results coaches are doing the same. The people in our community, the people who train the different things like rent to rent and development and HMOs and raising finance and like whatever area it is, like what we were just talking about, is the practical application. Because if you don't do any of that, what's the point in all the information? What's the point in even asking any questions on here? And that's what we like to help people with. Yeah, so we had a question. I'm not sure if it was a question I searched, but it kind of is. It says, so from Zima, I'm still having a hard time filling my new HMO property. Help. Yeah, so what additional information you want to give her?
I mean, I know there's a lot to work on already, and I know we've talked about this, Zima, but I think when you're having a struggle and you've adjusted and you've changed your approach, you need to look at if there is a particular reason in that area that it's quiet right now, especially when I know that area because I've got properties there, and I know a lot of other people have got properties there, and I know that they are letting their rooms and yours are fantastic. So there's no difference in the reason that yours shouldn't be letting and theirs are, other than let's adjust maybe the price to begin with. So that I would rather, and we talked about this before, but I would rather have my rooms full and getting some income, so that obviously I'm reducing what it's costing me each month, and then adjust it when the market improves a little bit, then have it completely empty and it's 100% cost, right? So other things are adjusting your pricing until you get it let, because again, would you rather have it 100% costing you, or make at least something to cover the bills and the mortgage and whatever you've got outgoing? And then the second option is to speak to your provider or reach out to people maybe in the serviced accommodation business and ask them if they've got any help that they can give you about putting it online and getting it advertised to do more temporary lets whilst it's still being advertised for a long-term let, but maybe do some more short-term stays as well. Now, there are things you need to bear in mind with that in, wear and tear on the property, and if you have got longer term tenants in there, so you do need to have a good lettings manager to take care of the response, the people that are going in. So tenant selection is key when you're looking at doing two strategies at the same time. But it can certainly help if you've got somebody that wants a property for a month, but you just charge them a bit more money than you would for a 6-month tenant, because obviously they're a short term. And when you think about what they would have to pay for a hotel, yours is still going to be much cheaper, and it's much more of a comfortable environment than being in a hotel because they've got more space, etc. So that's definitely an option. But I think always review your costs, because in areas like this, where I know that where that one is, it can be its peaks and troughs at the moment because of the type of the time of year that it is. A lot of the lets right now are very predominantly student market. So sometimes when you're in this lull, adjust your prices if you choose to, and get them let so that you're at least making some income. And then obviously the market will definitely improve over the next month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. And then when you're ready to re-let the room, obviously you can do it at the original price that you would like to get for it. So hopefully that gives a few extra tips on, I know what Mark had already gone over in some of the mentoring as well.
Awesome. And then here's the next question. The next question is, why are we having April showers in July in the Midlands?
Because it is getting ready to release some fantastic weather and abundance for a very long-awaited physical in-person event.
I can't believe you answered that question, seriously.
Yeah, I genuinely believe that serious about bringing the abundance for a live in-person event.
I didn't even listen to your answer because I was so shocked that you were actually answering it.
Yeah, that was. Want me to say it again because I think you like it? I said because it's bringing it's getting ready to build up some great energy and abundance and great weather to celebrate the first very anticipated live in-person event.
Yeah,
which is PWT.
Yeah, here's another question which I wanted to save until this point, because this question is quite clever, and it's funny how we have this question because it's something that I sometimes mention, to the inner core team, and when we have our mentoring sessions, when we have our masterminds and things like that, and it's like people. So here's the question, because I was going to come from my view, but the question is, how do I know what questions to ask if I'm not sure on what to do in the first place? And that's, for me, what I relate to is like, that's a brave thing to say, because, even when people have, like, I'm on a mentoring program right now for something else to do with business. Yeah. And I realized, like, I ask questions, even if I'm not sure, let me just say something, because then I'm going to get some feedback, and then maybe another question is going to come from it. Yeah. And I just thought, how many other people have access to the resource to ask questions, especially like this tonight? Yeah. And they don't ask questions just through maybe fear of like, oh, wow, people might think I don't know anything if I ask that type of question. And I know where it came from for me. It came from being in a corporate industry where if you're ever in meetings or scrums or whatever, like different types of get-togethers that you have, and you ever was like, didn't understand something, then there were cocks, let's put it that way, who would make you feel bad or make you feel less or make you feel nothing. Like, oh yeah, like I remember one time I said, oh yeah, no, that seems a bit complicated, I'm not sure I understand. And someone said, yeah, you're right, you probably don't understand. And it was like their own little kind of trample on me, try and take a step up. Yeah, but then it stops people from asking questions or putting that stuff forward. So I know where, this question is coming from. And I think everybody should take a leaf out of the book of that. It's just like, how do I know what questions to ask if I don't know? So here's my answer to that question. My answer to that question is just start with something. Now, if you don't know where to start, then that's your question. Where do I start? Yeah, you ask that question, you're going to get some feedback, you're going to get some kind of answer, and then maybe you got some other questions. I mean, there's some of the most successful people, especially people who are in a circle, they need two things. They need direction and feedback. That's it. Direction. Yeah, so then you go out there and you move in that direction, and then you will receive feedback. You bring that feedback. And this is like, goes to when you're answering your question about filling rooms, Trisha, it's like, go do something, now collect data so you can make sense of the feedback. Like data. I'm a data junkie. Yeah, give me all the data. I don't mean I sit there overanalyzing and procrastinating over data, number spreadsheets and all the rest of it. Do we have spreadsheets? Yeah. But I'll tell you something, we have a 15-minute meeting. Yeah, we look at the data and it's like, okay, this is what I go and do. Now go do it. That data provides, so that feedback provides the information to go make another move in a direction. And then as you make a move in that direction, you're going to get some more feedback. So it's feedback and direction. Now listen to this very carefully, anybody watching this. Either way, you pay. Either way, you pay. Either way, you're going to pay. So either you pay to keep working out that direction and that feedback and like understand the feedback and be like, oh my God, like what do I do? Do I make this move? Do I make that move? And you're going to pay in that time. You're going to pay in the mistakes. You're going to pay in like maybe missing something, not understanding something. You're going to pay because you missed an opportunity. You're going to pay because you made a mistake. And I'm not saying don't make mistakes, but like the quicker that you can pick up on it, that it's a mistake and move and make it an adjustment to go in a different direction or a slightly different angle, then that's better. Yeah. So like I just paid £30,000 to be able to get mentoring, and it's for a year. And I know that already in the first few weeks, it's more than worth that money. Mm-hmm. Why? Because I understand that either way, I'm going to pay. Yeah. And I know I have paid in the past. I've paid trying to figure out myself, trying to use some low budget way. Yeah. Of being able to like trade and, make a deal and try to make something work. And it just costs me so much money, costs me so much time. And I tell you the big thing, poor buggers that have this, costs you your confidence. That's the biggest one. Money, you get some money back. Confidence, oh my God, if you don't have the confidence and you struggle to get the money, you struggle to do anything. Yeah. So either way, you're going to pay. So you can pay to get the direction and the feedback and translate and understand, dissect, deconstruct the feedback, the makeup of something that's happening. You went in a direction, this happened. Oh, why don't you just do this? Why don't you just do that? And bam, you can save years, let alone weeks and months of, planning application, Article 4, builders doing this, costs doing that, get a down value, the prop valuation don't work out. Just being able to get that direction and that feedback and be able to go again and then come back again and go and get it is priceless. Yeah, Trish, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I think for me, that question is, like you say, it's brave, fantastic. Thank you for asking that. It's similar to something that came up in with a coaching client today, that stop overanalyzing. Stop having so much pressure on the what if. Let's focus on what you need to know when you need to know it. So stop thinking 10 steps ahead, just focus on one step at a time, because it's very overwhelming when you're looking at the top of the mountain instead of where you are right now. So yes, there may be lots of questions that you can ask, but let's just start with, what do you want to achieve? We need to find out what it is, because it's quite a broad question. But say, for example, I want to know if there are any properties in this area that are going to work for what I want to do with them. So you pick up the phone and you start asking questions based on that. Say, look, I want to find out from you if there are any properties. I would like to do this with them and make money based on this strategy. Can you help me to understand more about this? and be authentic. You know, I'm brand new into property or whatever. So first thing is, know what it is the outcome is for this question. What do you want to know, right? And then it sounds like, oh, but I might not know what questions to ask. If you know what the outcome is that you need to get to, then you will start to have some dialogue and some feedback from the people that you're asking the questions to, and then you will start to understand what's the next question. Okay, I didn't understand that fully, so can you help me understand that a little bit more? And that's where the feedback and questioning begins. So don't overanalyze and don't want to know every question or every answer to every question, especially if you don't need it just yet. Just take one step at a time. It's like we do the A to Z checklist. Take one step at a time. Stop thinking about step 20 when you're only at step 1. That's essential, I think, for the question that was just given, because that happened today with my client, thinking about the what ifs and, oh, but what about this happening? What if this happened? But we're not manifesting that that's going to happen. We're going to focus on doing what we need to do to get the outcome that we need to get.
For sure. We had another question here. Hi, wonderful people. What security can I offer my investors? Thank you.
I think for that, Lena, great question. Very powerful question. A lot of people need to know this. I know, and I don't want to just bat it back to you, but it's really essential. Like, what security does your investor want? That's really important, because you want to find out what they want so that you can then understand if it's an investor that's going to be able to work with you on this deal or not. Because they may say, first charge, you know, all the security, personal guarantees, this and this, and it's not something you're able to deliver on because you've got a lender in that's going to be first charge. And if they're not able to accept anything other than first charge, you know, on this particular deal, unless they can give you all of the money, that investor may not work. So first of all, always ask the investor, what kind of securities do they want? And then there are different things, like first charge is the whole of the property. So they have first dibs on anything that changes and they get paid back first, right? But if you are going to be leveraging other finance, which is what we teach in real life, because you want to, you know, try to maximize getting as many properties and as much income as possible, your lender generally will have the first charge. So then maybe you can have a second charge for your investor. You've got things like loan notes or deed on charge of shares. You've got RX1s, you've got deed of priorities, there's personal guarantees, there's bringing them in as like shareholders in the company. If you're a joint venture, they can come in as a director or shareholder or both. There are so many solutions for giving an investor security, but genuinely it is based on what do they want. Because some come in and they're quite happy with just a loan agreement that is witnessed by you, got signed and witnessed by you, signed and witnessed by them, and that shows a security that's been looked over by a solicitor, and that's what's happening with their money. So it totally depends on what it is that they want. But I hope that gives you some quick fire answers for that one. And I don't know if you've got anything to add on that, Mark.
It comes back to the direction and feedback. So everything that you've just said are all the different options, but you almost got to like run your strategy in parallel with acquiring an investor to come and invest, because you've got to know what deals you're playing with to know what options are available to you. Yeah. And then it's like, once you start to put it out there and get some interest, you know, most people, they're like, oh man, you know, it's the security, I can't offer some security. And you talk yourself out the deal before, you know, even they can have an opinion on it. So the first thing that you got to actually get sorted on is, do they even want to invest in a deal with this kind of structure anyway, regardless of the security? You know, first of all, it's like, does this model work for them, for the investor? Once the model works, then we can start to say, okay, with that model working, with that amount of money you're going to receive on as a return on your investment, yeah, how can we make sure that it's now secure or it's backed, or to give you the confidence that you're going to get paid that money? Yeah, we can't talk about what's the security first when we don't even know what the money is. Because the security is to say, this is what's backing up what you're going to get. well, let's sort of decide what I'm going to get first. Then I'll work out how it's going to be backed, because, you know, how can you agree what the security for what? You know, because put it this way, you know, like you could invest in some high risk stuff. And it's like, I don't go looking for high risk investment. What I do is I see, wow, look at this return I can go and get. Then I look at it and it's like, wow, I can get this return because it's pretty risky. And it can go up and it can go down. So I'm going to have to take these measures to secure my investment if I want to get these type of returns. Or I might see some, some low returns, some 2%, 5%, 7%, whatever it is. Well, what's backing that? Well, this is as safe as houses. This is what it is. There's no way that this can't be paid to you. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. That's what. So, and some people then might say, game on, let me do that. You know, so it's the difference between at the back at the front end, where it's like, hey, give me all this money in a year's time, I'll see if I can pay you back. I mean, I'm just giving you worst case scenario language. But someone to part with their money, not see anything for 9 to 12 months, and then realize that once you've done the project and you have to do the project well, and it has to work out, and there's 2 or 3 factors that have to align, that's, for some people, it's too risky. I mean, for me, you know, it makes sense. Where let's say there is a property and it's producing an income already, and it's like, hey, you put your money in this fund, and this is the P&L of how you are paid your money. So as soon as you put your 10K, your 50K, whatever into this deal, you start getting your percentage return on it after month 1. You see, first you got to agree, well, what's my kind of percentage am I looking for? You know, if someone comes to you and says, I'm looking for 20%, game on, now let's get a little bit risky and frisky. Yeah, if that's what you want. Yeah, if you want something sound as a pound, easy peasy, you know, it's going to happen, then, well, okay, so let's look at that. What returns? Yeah, it's going to be 5%, it's going to be 6%, it's going to be 8%. Yeah, and it's going to be backed solidly. Yeah, so, and everything else in between. Yeah, that's how it works. Great. Well, now it is our real life mastermind that happens every week inside of our community. So we're going to let our people get prepared and ready for that. And by the way, Lena, I think you're going to PWT, so we're going to blow your face off there in terms of what you can do for raising finance and security and how you make that happen. Yeah, so we're going to give you the direction, the feedback. You're going to go do it, and then with direction, feedback, do it. Direction, feedback, do it. Or it's direction, do it, feedback. Direction, do it, feedback. Yeah, so that's what it is. So awesome job for being here. Great questions. They were awesome questions. Were they awesome questions or what? Yeah, excellent. So thank you for sending them through. This has been Real Life Money Monday. You got to remember, Trisha, you got to always do the right thing for the right reason. Why is that?
Because that is the only way that you're going to discover your true potential.
That's it, my good friends. You heard it here. So look, go out, get registered, get signed up to all of the free resources that we have available, the YouTube channel, the Facebook pages, the Insta. You know, so there's resources at reallife-group.com, 8-step checklist, 12-day success challenge. There is a Property Secrets Exposed coming up at the end of July. There are a couple of seats left for PWT, but like, if you don't know what it is by now, you're probably not going to go. But for the people who do know what it is, make sure that you get registered. Yes, Charlotte, oh my God, you are not the only one, my dear. So absolutely. Yeah, Lena, Charlotte, look after yourself for the rest of this week and get ready. Have plenty of rest. But thank you so much, team. Do the right thing for the right reason, because that is the only way you discover your true potential.